Welcome to the Castle Connection. I'm Jarod, Claybourn, your principal. Today is August 18th and is the summer of 2022, and I'm joined by our superintendent, Mr. Matt Sheehan. This is our first one we've done this summer together. Mr. Sheehan, how are you and your family?
Hey, let's compare this to the past couple summers. This has been pretty good, in preparation for the school year. So we're doing well, we're rested, and want to enjoy the last few weeks of summer before the start of the school year. How about you?
Yeah, excellent. It's been a great summer here. We had a great, successful credit recovery. The staff's been great as they've been in and out, but we're eager for a couple more days of summer vacation before we get started.
Sounds good.
All right, so we have a few things to go over today. So if you'll hang with us, we're going to talk about some COVID updates, some of the building things that are going on, new staff, the strategic plan, and then some of the normal summer information. So I'm going to start with that actually. The summer mailing should have gone home on the 11th of August, so this is about a week out. You should have received that in the mail. That information, the most important is that gives you your Oncourse information so that you can go in and complete your annual Oncourse registration. So if you have a gap of information, you're watching this and you did not receive a mailing, then you're going to want to reach out to the school because that means that the address we have on file for you is not accurate. We also emailed it as well, so you want to check your emails. If you did not receive an email, again, you want to check that. All of those things can be controlled by you when you fill out the Oncourse annual registration. So that's important to get that done. You're going to need that specific code, that's why we mail it home, so you get that specific code for your student for the annual registration. When you do that, then you'll be able to see your student's schedule, but you will not be able to see it prior to completing that. So inside the summer mailing packet, you got a letter from Mr. Sheehan, you got a letter from myself. A couple other things, the school calendar, I do want to point out that the first student day is Tuesday, September 6th. The first full week of school for students, the 6th through the 9th, are all early dismissals schedules. We are excited to do some orientation experiences for the students, but particularly on the 6th, and then on the 9th, we're going to do our barbecue with the students as well. Back to school night, take note, is September 13th. One of the big pieces that's different from this year, from the past 2 years, is that there are no free meals this year. So we are back to the free and reduced lunch application process. So it's very important, if that's something that you're interested in or qualify for, that you must go through that application process. You can't just assume that it's going to roll over. That is not the case. Many people that typically filled that form out didn't the past year because it was already free. It's very important that you get that done so that your student has that advantage. It's also important for the data that we have as a school because that impacts the aid that we get from the state. Okay, so that is your free and reduced lunch application. It can be found on the website, and the information was sent home in that summer mailing. Guidance counselors have switched just slightly, so you want to make sure you check that guidance counselors list to make sure that your guidance counselor has not changed. Remember, they are your first point of contact if you have any kind of scheduling question or any information on the courses for the fall. Mr. Manlove has released the schedules for all athletics. So if you go to the athletics website, you'll be able to click on and check your student's schedule. You can customize that. Remember, that thing offers the ability to download the calendar, to follow it. You can customize what you see. If you only want to see girls soccer, you can see that. If you only want to see JV football, you can see that. So make sure you go in and play with that. We did put out some information on obtaining additional substitutes. We contract through ESS as the provider, and there's even a referral form. But if that's something that you might know somebody for, or if you're interested in, please get that done ASAP. The last thing that we were excited about is kind of connected with some of the goals strategic plan, which Mr. Sheehan will talk about, is we did launch a Facebook page for Sterling High School. The idea is to push out information to you in a way that's convenient and clearly pops up in a space that everybody's familiar with Facebook. So go in there and make sure you like that or follow that, and we're going to continue to put out updates on that. Those are big pieces. Mr. Sheehan, we wanted to talk about, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, I think strategic plan is probably appropriate.
Okay.
But first of all, I want to commend the administration and staff on a great 21-22 school year. We had a really special senior class. There's going to be a void, which we always anticipate and we expect our class of 23 to step up and fill that void and become the leaders of the school. We're really excited about next school year with new staff, and we're also excited about meeting the class of 2026 who've been here for an orientation in June, and then there was an optional one earlier in August. So we're really excited about having that class. So I can't say enough of the job that our administration and staff did last year. And then springboarding with that was our strategic plan that we accomplished last year. So huge community impact here. This is a chance for the community and Sterling High School to work together to kind of set a path for success in the future. And so the first thing we did is we engaged the community. Over 1,500 surveys were completed. We had over 60 people participate in our strategic planning committee, and then finally we had our action groups. So, it wasn't always easy. We talked about points of pride. These are things you don't want to touch with Sterling High School, things we're proud of. We talked about some of the things, challenges that are facing Sterling High School, and you got to embrace those challenges. We own them. And then you come up with an action plan. How do we improve Sterling High School? So at the end game here is we came up with 3 goals. One had to deal with school programs and instructions. One had to do with school environment. And the third one was school and community partnerships. And I think part of that partnership is communication. And I think that's where Facebook comes in, and it's going to allow us to communicate more effectively with our community partners here. So moving forward, Sterling High School will work on those goals, and we have time frames for different goals in those 3 areas. And then also we're going to meet from time to time with the Board of Education to give them updates, but we're looking for community participation here as well. So we'll be putting out an all call for people that want to participate, get some updates, and maybe tweak some things as we go along. But it allows us to reestablish our mission, our vision, and our goals of Sterling High School. And we're excited about it, and we feel that we're on the right path towards attaining these goals and improving the total environment here at Sterling High School.
Those meetings were really great. I had a chance to participate too. But there were representatives from every town. We had student representatives, parents, people that didn't have students, former graduates, former employees too. Really broad variety of people that participated in it.
Yeah, I can't say enough. And we had alumni, class of 65, class of 69. One of the alumni, they have grandchildren here, 3rd generation Sterling students. So, people were invested. People were very thrilled about some of the things that we do at Sterling High School. And again, we had to embrace some of the challenges, and we don't hide from it, but we want to try to meet it head on and provide, it's not always about measurables, and I think if you talk to students at Sterling High School the last couple of years, they have a student voice, and this year we're going to have our first student representative on the Board of Education. We're excited about that. That gives them a voice. It gives them a conduit between the staff, the students, and the Board of Education. Community voice, teacher voice, and it's about belonging and establishing relationships. And if you can do those things, then I think your measurables will increase. Attendance, test scores, participation. So we try to identify all those things. And unfortunately, you go through something like COVID, but it makes you realize the other needs that students may have beyond the rigor of a classroom.
Right.
So we're going to draw a silver lining with that. And I feel that, we could have delayed the strategic plan for a couple years. But education doesn't stop. The needs of the students do not stop. And I think we learned as an administration the important role that the community plays and their willingness to participate in the high school experience. And as Mr. Claybourn said, the alumni, community members, political leaders from the towns, board members from the sending districts, it was just a great turnout. And again, 1,500 surveys. If you thought, hey, I want to change things at Sterling High School, there's your opportunity.
Sure.
There's your opportunity to come up with a consensus. And there might be 100 things we can improve on, but we try to narrow it down to 3 main areas.
Well, everything was documented. You can find it on the website. Everybody's voice was heard. And then as a group, they came up with different consensus points, but it was a great process.
Yeah.
Great. So this summer, there's some other things that are going on, the normal things that happen during the summertime. And there was a big item out, a huge crane outside. A lot of people asked, right?
Yeah, so when you go through a summertime, and Mr. Claybourn will tell you, you got to update your facility, you got to update your staff, and we're always trying to improve things. So the last couple days, you probably noticed a huge crane from probably all 3 sending districts. You can see a crane the last couple days. Well, we replaced our heating and air conditioning, the HVAC unit in the new gym. If you were in our new gym the last 22 years, it's very loud, it was very cold. Well, and it was a tough maintenance issue. Well, now it's going to be on the outside of the building on the roof, and that was a project that went on all through the summer, and they probably have a couple weeks left that we're hoping to be done by the start of the school year. But then the general cleanup of the hallways, painting, reestablishing offices. Those are exciting things. When people come back in, the place will look new, feel fresh. But along with that, some new faces. And how about I let you talk about the new faces that we're going to have at Sterling this year?
Yeah, we have some excellent hires. There's teaching demand for teachers is high. The amount of applicants is not always huge, but we hit some home runs. We had an opening in music, and we hired Mrs. Christine Blankenship. She's our vocal music person. In arts, we had Aaliyah Kira has applied, and we've hired for graphic and vocal arts. We had an opportunity to add a position in ELL, and by add it was just kind of a restructuring of our staffing, but we needed a staff member to help us meet the needs of our ELL students, or students that speak second language. And so we hired Miss Cheryl Ross, who's a community member and parent, and that's a big win for the district as well. And then one more hire in the internal suspension monitor is an alumnus, Mr. Desmond Wiggins, who we were really excited about. Desmond Wiggins will also be our head wrestling coach, so he has a great opportunity to make a big impact on our student athletes at school.
Yeah, and if I can add, one of the great things at Sterling High School, being a former AD for both Mr. Claybourn and myself, 98% of our coaches and advisors work right in the building, and that's such an advantage that they can interact with the students on a daily basis, keep track of them. So we always say, if you want your student to be successful, get involved. Attendance goes up, test scores go up, discipline goes down, and they really enhance their high school experience. So we're really thrilled about the new staff members, because I think they all are going to add something beyond the regular school day as well.
Very good. Speaking of athletics, again, the fall officially starts here on August 22nd. Some sports began already. Football began. Girls tennis just began. But if your student athlete is interested in fall athletics and hasn't been in communication, make sure they get up here, find out more information, because the start of practices is Monday the 22nd. Now, one thing we haven't talked about yet, which has been a delight to not have to go over a lot, is the COVID summer updates. So just some stuff starting to trickle in. We're seeing new executive orders. We're seeing some new CDC decisions. We're still waiting actually for the New Jersey Department of Health and Education to give us a little bit more specific guidance, but so far we don't see major changes really for us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a carryover to how we finished the last school year. And again, our pandemic response team, that's the place you want to go with an email. And we're going to follow up on, if you're COVID positive, it's 5 days, and then you return with a mask for 5 days. We're going to pretty much follow the same protocols until we get new guidance. Right. And I just think people are getting used to living with, this COVID and the pandemic. But I always think the good things is be vaccinated, get testing if you feel the need to test, and social distancing. I mean, these are practices that we've had forced upon us the last few years, but I think the outcome is we get back to school and students can learn in a great environment.
One thing I want to reiterate is that if you're COVID positive and you have an absent related to it, you need to make sure that you understand what is counted for an excused absence and what is not. That seemed to be a gap last year for a lot of families. Just make sure, so for example, if you're sent home from the nurse because you are symptomatic and need to be sent home, that does not excuse your absence for whatever class you just missed or the rest of the school day. Only a doctor's note can excuse that absence or a positive test result. So we just want to make sure that you are communicating fully and you understand, so that you're not in a situation at the end of the year that you need some credit recovery situation for your class attendance. All right, one other announcement I have is the tablet distribution for the freshmen. That was sent out, and I'll send it out again, but the freshmen are going to come in at the end of August. There are 3 days by letter alphabet for you to come up. So we're excited that those are in. They're already set up. So those 3 days, we want your student to come in and make sure that you are picking them up. You have to have your Oncourse annual registration completed prior to coming to pick up your tablet. Students should come, so that's a common question. Parents say, can I come? No, we want your student to come because we're going to take a moment to help them create a new password and log in. And then they're going to get fully trained on the tablet in the opening week of school.
Yeah, and I'd like to say nothing but the best of luck to our recent Sterling graduates, especially the class of 22 as they head off to college It's challenging. It's sometimes daunting. It's there's some anxiety. You guys will do great. You still have Sterling High School you can come home to, and keep in touch with your parents from time to time.
All right, Dad. There's Dad right there with class of 22 grad. Also, just want to wish you a wonderful end of your summer. Make sure you're getting some quality family time, extra rest. If you're an athlete, make sure you're preparing yourself for the season, and we wish you a great summer. As always, go Knights.